Taiwan informal settlement residents in Khayelitsha have shut down the N2 in Cape Town. They say this is over government's failure to prioritize housing. Last week, residents handed over a memo of demands to the Western Cape government calling for dignified services 37 years since the settlement was established. Let's take you there live with our reporter Nasipi Same, who's been covering the story. Still not yet daybreak where you are, Nasipi. When we spoke a little bit earlier, you were struggling with the tear gas that police had been deploying to try and control the crowd. What's the latest?
The latest is that a partial N2 still remains closed from both directions, inbound and outbound, between R300 and one could say Spine Road off-ramp. And as much as the community has retreated back into Taiwan, the law enforcement agencies, which are police, law enforcement and the likes, including private security, remain on scene and heavily deployed. As you can see that they are indeed just removing the debris from the N2, as earlier on that particular stretch of road there was tires that were burning, and also law enforcement and police deploying stun grenades to basically push back the residents and drawing a battle line, if one could put it, to ensure that the residents do not cross over onto the N2 and block it further. And we'll just take you to our left-hand side, and during this time, one can expect a lot of traffic on the N2, particularly going to Cape Town. And because of this shutdown from Taiwan residents calling on for dignified services, including the speeding of housing development, traffic has indeed been rerouted. We're just showing you the bridge there on Old Forey Road, where traffic has been diverted to. And basically, the community leaders are saying that they want to meet the MEC or MEC Tertius Simmers in regards to the housing development that they have not seen, as they put it, in close to 37 years since the establishment of the informal settlements. And also one of the challenges that they are calling for or to be addressed is the issue of basic services, saying that as much as the settlement was established about 3 decades ago, they are still struggling with access to adequate basic services. And they are saying that government does indeed need to look into this, and they are tired of waiting and of government to fulfill their promises. And we do also understand that the community remained resolute that they will continue with the shutdown today up until such a time government responds positively or even agrees to meet with them regarding their demands and to table a plan forward in regards to the housing development. The community leader we spoke to earlier on, highlighting the fact that since the inception or the establishment of this informal settlement of Taiwan, residents have not benefited from either City of Cape Town housing development or even provincial housing development, and that is basically at the core of the shutdown.
So the advice from motorists, of course, this morning, Nasipi, is to avoid that area completely. Indeed. I mean, even if somebody would drive onto the N2, you will obviously be turned back by law enforcement agencies, including traffic, for the safety of residents, and also to ensure that there is no one on the road, as we do know that as much as the residents have retreated back to the community, they did indicate earlier on that they will not stop up until such a time that they do get the desired response from provincial government. And as you mentioned, there was that protest action to provincial office to hand over a memorandum, and basically with 5 demands, giving provincial government 7 days to respond to the memorandum of demands. And they saying that up until then, or rather 7 days has lapsed, and there's been no response from government. Hence why today we are seeing this shutdown. And they are saying that they're tired of government ignoring them, and they're calling for their constitutional rights to be fulfilled and also for that much needed housing development. But it is indeed very tense between the two groups, law enforcement agencies and the community, who are saying that they are much resolute and they believe in the cause that they are embarking on, which is to shut down the N2 and also the economy of the province, to basically push the government into a corner for them to respond to their demands.
Khayelitsha is live just there in Cape Town. Thanks very much indeed for an update on that developing story.